Hello everybody, my name is Martin Lakius. I am your lecturer today. You are not going to look at me all the time, you are going to look at my papers. This lecture is about sales strategy. It says here for major accounts, but more I would focus on the entrepreneurship aspects, hopefully. But the book we are basing this on is written by Neil Rackham. And the title of that book is Sales Strategy, Major Account Sales Strategy. It looks like this. This is the way the book looks. And it's a very good book. I truly recommend it. This is the first part, and it is about, it's a little bit of an introduction, but also talk a little bit about sales psychology, a little bit an overview of the sales process, and then we will look at 3 focus points of entry. Who you are going to start talking to when you work with sales. Let's start with the overview of the sales process. It's actually what you can see here. It starts up here. Many times it starts here with a recognition of needs. The customer understands that he or she needs something. Well, this is the process. It starts here, and right about here the customer has understood, yes, I need something. Then the customer starts evaluating the options that are out there, and at the final part of that stage the customer thinks that, okay, now I know what I want to buy and who I want to buy it from. Then there is actually another stage that is called the resolution of concerns, which is about a lot of psychological, personal aspects. Can I really trust this supplier, and so on. And finally, hopefully, we get a yes here, and we get a decision if we are trying to sell something. And then there is an implementation phase, where the customer starts using the product, matures in the usage, and somewhere up here the product reaches its end life cycle. And then we go into another phase of recognition of needs. So this all goes round and round and round all the time. Hopefully we enter up here. Many times, however, we enter here. The customer has already realized that there is a need, and we come in as one of the possible suppliers for that need. Sometimes we come in here, and then we are way too late, and we basically most probably will lose the deal. Sometimes we come in here, and then most of the times we cannot do anything. Sometimes we can reverse the sales process, even sometimes all the way down to here, and restart the sales process. But that is not so easy. Okay, let's continue. First, now we look at some sales psychology aspects. Things that we need to remember. Decisions are actually made by people, and that is also so in large accounts and large deals. Even though they have a very rigorous process, the decision is made by people. And it's also that many people like to buy, and they like to buy from a very skilled seller. So if you know this process, you have a higher chance of getting the deal, since the buyer recognizes that you also know what is going to happen when. You also need to build up a trust, because people generally don't buy from people they don't trust. On the other hand, people tend to buy more often or be biased towards people that they actually trust and really like. Another psychology-based rule that maybe is not always told, but you need to remember always, all the time, is that it is always the seller that takes the initiative in each phase. But on the other hand, it is the buyer who decides the pace. So if you as a seller says that call me when you're ready to discuss, you make a big mistake, because they will never call you. Also, if you go too quickly or too slowly with a potential customer, that will also cool down the discussions. So it's a bit like dancing, and the buyer expects you to know the dance if you are a seller, and that is basically what this is about: learning to sell, learning more about sales. Another psychology aspect is that sales strategy is about customers' needs and behaviors. So it's not about how you can sell to them, it's about how they want to buy something. And the better you understand this, the easier it is to be a good salesperson. There are three distinct phases that a customer goes through before a decision. We looked at them before. If you remember, recognition of needs, that's the first phase. Evaluation of options, that's the second phase. Resolution of concerns, that is the third phase. Yes, we remember that. But there is a fourth phase, which is often neglected, and that is the implementation phase. And this is actually a good opportunity for additional sales, and also for building of happy reference customers. It sounds obvious when we talk about it here, but many companies make the mistake of forgetting the customer. When they have reached the decision phase and they have done the first steps of implementation, maybe you reach this level here, then they go up here to the next customer and they forget the customer in this phase here. This is the base of happy reference customers that can reference the next customer that comes in here. This is a much better way of working. Okay, let's continue. This is a table which you will find in the book. And I think it's a very good and important table because it tells a lot about these different phases. We can see here in the recognition of needs phase, we have typical concerns and questions that the customer asks himself. Do we have a problem? How big is it? Does it justify action at all? Or can we just ignore it? In the next phase, when the customer has accepted that the problem is severe enough to do something about it, there are different questions, different kinds of questions. What criteria should we use in making a decision? Which of the competitors is the best one for us in the criteria that we have chosen to work with? And how do you know when this phase is over? Well, when you can see that the customer has a clear decision mechanism in place, and when the customer has used this to select one or more final contenders, then this phase is over. Then we have a shortlist with one favorite, you could say, but that can actually change. The more professional customer you have, the more they are open to change within the shortlist. The shortlist is typically two or three potential suppliers. After that phase, we have the resolution of concerns, and typical questions there. You can see here, what are the risks of going ahead? What if it goes wrong? And can we trust these people? Basically, questions that are a concern whoever you choose to work with, because there are always risks and it can always go wrong in one way or another. If you buy a car, it can break down. If you buy a complex business intelligence system, it can show that people could not use it. There are so many things that can go wrong, and in many cases when you are selling to a major account or a major deal, you will have to be there to deliver. So they will ask themselves, can we trust these people? And that will be a very important part of the decision. If you have a good enough answer to these questions, the customer will make the decision and you will get an agreement on paper. And then we start the implementation phase. Are we getting the value from this decision? How quickly will we see the results? These are questions that the customer asks in this phase. So here you see it, the process, and typical questions, typical signs that you are entering the next phase. And then we can see some good sales strategy way of working. We can also see some common errors, how not to do. For example, in the first phase of recognition of needs, your job is to uncover and develop a dissatisfaction to critical mass. And that is often done by asking a lot of questions and also by holding back product discussions. It is not up to you to throw a product in their face when they are in the process of understanding what problems they have. So a common error in this phase is to make product presentations too early, and also a failure to investigate or develop the customer needs that are out there. In the next phase, when the customer has started evaluating their options, it's good to understand the criteria they are trying to use, try to influence them, and also respond to these decision criteria. It's also a good idea to differentiate your offering. How do you differ from the competitors? And also to stop developing needs. You see, here you develop needs. Here you stop developing needs. You see, this is an important balance, because sometimes the seller continues developing the need, but what happens if you do that here is that you postpone the deal, basically, because the customer keeps getting thrown back into this phase here. Do we need to understand our needs better? Okay, let's wait with the formal purchasing. And also, if you are unable to uncover the criteria the customer is using, how can you influence them? So that's also a common error. And not trying to influence or change the stated criteria. Of course, you want to change the criteria so that you end up in a better position by making the customer appreciate what you are good at, and making the customer realize that the things that you're not so good at, they can live without it, hopefully. So when we come to the resolution of concerns phase, it's a good idea to uncover and help the customer resolve these perceived risks. And this is also the time to start negotiating special terms if that is necessary. It is not a good idea to ignore the concerns, but it is also seldom a good idea to pressure the customer to make a decision before these perceived risks are actually dealt with in one way or another. Finally, we get to the implementation phase. Here is a very good opportunity to build a reputation, and also to handle your customer's motivation dip. We will come back to this. It is not a good idea to not try to sell more here, and it's also not a good idea to not be prepared for the vulnerable implementation points that are ahead. Okay, that was that table. Let's continue. So, account entry strategy. Who should I talk to, when, and why? And is there a door to knock on at all? Basically, this is about questions like who are the gatekeepers? Who tries to stop me from talking to the right people? Who is influencing the deal? And who is taking the actual decision? And also, who tries to hide the decision-making power? And who pretends to be a decision maker? All these people are out there. Influencers, decision makers, hidden decision makers, pretending to be decision makers. What you want to have in such a situation is a sponsor on the inside. And that sponsor should be in a department that actually has a big saying in this. And also, it could be a situation that there is a purchasing function for your kind of products. But it could also be the opposite, that there is no purchasing function. This is the first time the customer buys this kind of product. Especially in entrepreneurial situations, this is often the case. The customer has never bought this kind of product before. And so, in that case, you often have problems because there is no decision maker that you can approach. Okay. Then, when it comes to entry strategy, there are 3 focus points that you can identify. In a large company, these 3 focus points are very seldom the same person. We have the friendly guy. We have the person experiencing a problem. Most often, it's not the same person. And then we have the person with the power to take a decision that costs money. That could be a third person. So there is a lot of people to handle here. The friendly people we call in this book the focus of receptivity, because they are so receptive, they are so friendly. But this can be deceptive, because it takes a lot of time to talk with friendly people, and that time might not be well invested. On the other hand, these people can often give you a lot of information about who is not happy and about who is taking decisions around here. So don't ignore these people, but don't use all the time on them. Then we have the people who actually have problems. We call this the focus of dissatisfaction. And this is the basis for your sale. If there is no dissatisfaction, you will get no deal. You are a problem solver. You are selling a product or service that solves a problem. So trying to find people with problems is key to you and your sales effort. Then we have the people who can approve, who can prevent, or who can influence decisions. And this we call the focus of power. These are people who have the power to take action, but also to take pure purchasing decisions. So what you want to do is to use the people you find with a problem to gain access to the people with the power. You can access them directly, but you can also access them through your sponsor. Many times the person who has a problem becomes your sponsor internally, and it is this person that approaches the person with the power and proposes to buy the company to buy something. And actually, one common mistake here is to approach the focus of power too early. You don't want to waste that opportunity. If you go and meet the CEO of a large company too early, you don't have the facts, you don't have the support within the organization, and you have not yet prepared the influencers for the decision that you want the CEO to take. So if you go there too early, you might end up just being thrown out in the street, and that customer's door is closed for you. So this is a delicate game with 3 kinds of people to keep track of. Okay? Let's go on. Actually, that was the last part of the first part. So in next video we will look at the recognition of needs phase a little bit more in detail. As you can see here, this is the focus of the next video. But for now, thank you very much.